Now, regular viewers of this channel probably know that I appreciate it when you guys send me things you want me to read and react to and respond to, and this typically means lots of articles from places like The Gamer or Kotaku or Twitter threads from people in various console fanboy circles, but every once in a while, a gem comes along. Every once in a while, somebody sends me a horrible article from a site I've never heard of, and it makes me question how people are finding this stuff, and better yet, who's actually taking the time to make it. Today's autopsy patient is an article titled 7 Things a Console Does Better Than a Gaming PC, published less than a month ago on a website called XDA, which I can only assume stands for X Defiant, am I right? Honestly, I don't know what XDA stands for. You go to the homepage and it doesn't tell you what it stands for. And I mean, I'm not about to go become Dora the Explorer trying to figure it out. I'm just going to make fun of the article and not think about it. So just know that if you do know what XDA stands for, I don't care. If you want to leave a comment like, oh my god, Joe doesn't even know that it stands for Xylophone Doofenshmirtz Academy. Like, I don't care. I just don't care. The article begins thus. To play video games, people can turn to either consoles or gaming PCs. From the best gaming PCs to the PS5 and the Xbox Series, gamers today have multiple options for their platform of choice. Gaming PCs might have enjoyed technical superiority and wider customization than consoles for years, and still do, but the current generation of consoles has caught up sufficiently that players can focus on other aspects. Yeah, now that the consoles have totally caught up on technical superiority and customization. Question mark. I mean, now that that's happened, console players can focus on other aspects of the debate, like the cheaper games on PC, the wider variety of games on PC, the indie and AA scene on PC, the blossoming handheld PC scene. Like, yeah, a console gamer could totally pay attention to those things now. Although I have a feeling you aren't really going to talk about that stuff very much in an article titled, 7 Things a Console Does Better Than a PC. In fact, there are various issues with the PC industry today, coupled with the rapid evolution of gaming consoles, have finally convinced me that there are many things a console does better than a PC. Things that have started to matter the most to gamers. I love when people do this. Two screenshots into the article, and you've mentioned twice already the supposed technical growth and evolution of consoles, but like, you could have had me fooled. Console games look prettier now, yeah, but they're still throwing things like 30 FPS caps at you, and they still totally lied about 60 FPS being the standard and 120 FPS being a common feature of this generation, and they're still also blatantly sacrificing performance for graphics, which is why high-profile games like Spider-Man 2 are coming out with ray tracing force-enabled, even if it results in the game looking like this while targeting 60 FPS in the current year. The consoles are technically capable of more than they were last generation, but that doesn't mean that there's been any really impressive technical jump. If anything, I think the 9th console gen has just shined a giant spotlight on all the problems with the console market as a whole, but we'll continue on with this article regardless. Reason number 1, the level of optimization. This should be fun. Due to standardized hardware, developers are in a better position when it comes to optimizing their games for a certain console. Gaming PCs have countless combinations of hardware components, making it an impossibility to have the same level of optimization on a PC. But this has always been the case. What has changed is the growing instances of broken game launches on PC. Whether it was The Last of Us Part 1, Hogwarts Legacy, or Starfield, was Hogwarts... Again, this is the second time in like the last week or two that someone's brought up like the Hogwarts Legacy PC port being broken. Did I just completely miss that, or is this an exaggeration? Anyways, whether it was The Last of Us Part 1, Hogwarts Legacy, or Starfield, the performance of AAA games has been hilariously disappointing at launch over the past few years on PC. Granted, you can find similar examples of this on consoles like Cyberpunk 2077, which was even pulled from digital stores at launch, but you'll be able to find far more failed launches on PC. While you're not wrong that games are technically better optimized on the console, that doesn't mean they actually play better. It just means they're more fine-tuned to the hardware. That doesn't mean the metrics you're getting on that hardware are the best you're going to get. Case in point, Forspoken. Case in point, Gotham Knights. Case in point, Redfall. Case in point, Spider-Man 2. And something a lot of PC gamers will be able to point out really quickly is the fact that even if a PC game is poorly optimized or has some technical hiccups, the hardware power of a gaming PC plus the access to graphics settings and a lack of performance hard locks means even a lame PC port is almost always going to run better than the console version. Almost always, if we're talking about objective metrics. You know, things like resolution, things like texture quality, things like frame rate. There will always be examples of buggy PC ports, but those are due to developer laziness or publisher deadlines, not because of anything inherently wrong with the platform. And the more that people vote with their wallets and their user reviews, the less this is going to happen. I think it's funny that from like 2020 to 2023, people kind of stopped using this talking point. Like, people in articles like this and in console versus PC videos, like, people over the last few years have like kind of slowed down using the whole like, oh, the epidemic of bad PC ports. Like, you heard this, it was the argument you heard a lot of in the later days of the 8th console gen and before that as well. But since the launch of the PS5 and the Xbox X, you started hearing this less, and then a handful of shitty ports come out this year, and now all of a sudden the PC is once again inherently more buggy, and that means you should go to console. Like, I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one that's noticed this. Nothing about the PC has changed. There were just some shitty ports this year because AAA developers are getting lazy and or overworked, and when that happens, technical oversights and corners cut are going to be more obvious in the PC version than the console version. Does that mean you should sacrifice the ability to use the benefits of the PC version because of a handful of bad examples of PC optimization? I don't think so, but we'll continue. Even if subsequent patches make the game playable on PC, the initial excitement is marred by the bugs and unenjoyable frame rates at launch. This even happens on high-end gaming PCs with graphics cards like the RTX 4080, and users reported that they could barely get Starfield to run above 60 FPS at 1440p. The fact that a $500 console is able to provide a more stable, albeit a 30 FPS one in many cases, gaming experience than a gaming PC that costs $2,000 just blows my mind. If you've been a console gamer all your life, there's little reason to switch to a PC if all you need is a gaming device, and if you're running out of time and patience dealing with buggy, broken PC launches, you should definitely consider moving to a console. God, you were so close. You were so close to breaking your entire argument in half, but you stopped short, and honestly, I'm kind of proud of you for having that kind of self-awareness, at least. You're right that Starfield has a lot of technical hiccups on the PC, but if you want to play it on the console, where yes, the experience is more consistent, you're also capped at 30 frames per second and still have a bunch of technical hiccups on top of that. So yes, your console experience is more optimized, but it's hard to get excited about that or see it as a big positive when it's optimized to hit a fraction of what the game is capable of on the PC. That's the bigger issue you're just fucking broad jumping over. Just because it's better optimized on console doesn't mean the performance is better or the experience is the best. Point number 2, upfront cost is a huge barrier to entry, and I'm actually going to skip over this one because it's the only point of yours that I actually agree with here, and I'm willing to concede 1 out of the 7 main points. The PC will almost always have a higher cost to entry. Granted, you get what you pay for, and paying extra for a gaming PC is going to get you way more out of the hobby as a whole right out of the gate. But yes, if you want to look at it this way, the cost to entry is a benefit of the console because the trade-off for worse performance, less games, and a closed marketplace is that the box costs less. Well done. Point number 3, recurring costs. Oh boy, that was not the topic I was expecting in a video talking about things console does better. One of the biggest misconceptions about PC gaming is that it's more expensive, but that's really only true when you first start out. Games are way cheaper over here, you don't have to pay to play your own games online, sales are more frequent, the key marketplace is amazing, and depending on the standards you want to play your games at, the hardware is way more future-proof. And you'll always have the option to upgrade, but the longevity of PC hardware is way better than what you're getting out of the console. So not only are you paying for better performance in-game, but you're also not going to have to make massive hardware purchases very often unless you want to. If something in your PC needs to be replaced, or if you want to upgrade one of the non-GPU parts, it can cost you what, like $50, $100, depending on what it is. The big PC hardware expenses are the graphics cards, which don't have to be replaced at any time, or after any certain amount of usage. There's no generations on graphics cards, in the sense that there are generations of consoles. So no one's making you upgrade, and if you're happy with the performance you're getting, no one's gonna make you replace your card. But to prove my point, here's the latest Steam survey on GPU usage on the platform. You see how many older cards there are on here? The GTX 10 series dropped in 2016, and the RTX 20 series came out in 2018, and they're still heavily used on the PC because they still give you solid performance when you consider the insane variety of games at your disposal on this platform. Whether or not a GPU may be the right fit for you is not dependent on how well it runs the most recent AAA games at console-level graphical performance, you know? Tons of people are running older graphics cards with no issues, either because they're happy with the performance on modern games or because they don't really care about the performance on modern games. And the reason I'm taking so much time to lay this out is because it's one of the biggest misconceptions about this platform. All of the big, scary, dastardly upgrades, like the articles like this always like to talk about, they're almost all completely optional. Whereas after a certain amount of time on the console, you will have to spend $400 to $500 to upgrade, or your console will start to perform poorly in new games. And if you want better game performance, mid-generation, you can either eat shit or go out and spend another $400 to $500 on an upgraded console. All while you're paying $70 for new games and paying a monthly fee to use your own internet. The PC's flexibility and customization is what makes it a much cheaper system to maintain. And I know that was a long tangent, but I felt the need to lay all this out before we get into the reasoning here, so let's continue. After the upfront cost of buying a gaming PC or console comes the recurring cost of games. You might think that the prices of the latest games are more or less similar on PC and consoles, but dig a bit deeper and you'll realize that if you buy disc versions of your console games, you can offset the cost by selling them once you're done. Sure, keep the ones you don't want to sell, but it's a great option to have, and it's not possible on PC. Alright, you went in a completely different direction than I was expecting. Yeah, I guess if you go on console, you can buy all your games physically and sell them once you're done. And if you're on PC, yeah, you're buying games digitally, but that also comes with the added benefit of them being cheaper and you never losing access to them. DRM rabbit hole notwithstanding, but conceptually you should get my point. Also, a little bit of an awkward time to talk about physical game copies because they're about to become way less common, but continue. The same reasoning can be applied to buying used game discs. If you're buying a game that has been out for say a month, you can get it cheaper compared to buying new. Additionally, many older games cost less on discs than their digital versions. The additional premium you'll pay for buying the disc version of a console can easily be offset by buying and selling used discs in just a few months or a year. This is so weirdly specific to try and make gaming on console sound cheaper than PC. Also, I love this. The additional premium you pay for buying a console is paid for by buying and selling game discs. So cheaper games means a more expensive initial purchase is worth it? Who said that before you did? Look, if you insist on being a physical gamer for as long as possible and you're never going to download anything in your entire life, console is the better option, yes. But in any other situation, the PC is the cheaper option. Games are way cheaper across the board, digitally, I know, but that's due to inherent differences between the PC and the console as platforms, so that's not ever going to change. Another factor to be considered here is the cost of services like Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. It's true that if you want to play online multiplayer, you'll have no choice but to shell out for these add-ons, but it's also true that Game Pass, also available to PC users, offers arguably the greatest value out of any gaming subscription, and PlayStation Plus is catching up. No, it's not. The benefits here far outweigh the costs. PC users often cite Steam and Epic Games Store sales as an advantage over consoles, but you can find game sales on PlayStation and Xbox stores as well. Overall, these factors make the recurring cost of gaming on console much lower than that on a gaming PC. Game Pass is cheaper on PC than console. Not sure if you knew that, but it is. I also love how in this category about recurring costs, you waited until the final 2 sentences to bring up the price of games on PC. You went on and on about how to bring down the price of console games, but waited until the last possible second to even bring up the just inherent price of PC games. And you really barely even did that, because if you did do that, it would break your whole argument, which was kind of important here. PC games are cheaper because of the open market and the robust digital marketplace that isn't owned by one specific company. Microsoft dictates the Xbox Store. Sony dictates the PlayStation Store. But on the PC, there are tons of places to buy digital games from. You have multiple launcher storefronts like Steam and Epic, but you also have tons of key marketplaces where people sell launcher games at a discount. You could technically have your entire library on Steam and never actually buy a game from the Steam store. That's an option. You can just buy keys secondhand. Stuff like that simply can't exist on the console, and that's why the PC will always inherently be the cheaper option for digital games. And also, we have Game Pass at a lower price over here because Microsoft can't charge us with the online gaming firewall that they throw into the Xbox version, because there is no online gaming firewall over here, which is another thing that you waited as long as possible to bring up. Whew, anyways, okay, let's keep reading. It hurts. I know it hurts, but we're gonna get through it. Point number 4, consoles get exclusives and more. Oh boy, and more? I love more. That's so specific. We live in an age where studios are increasingly developing games for multiple platforms. The market is just too lucrative to limit your games to a single platform. However, while many console exclusives are coming to PC these days, console exclusives still shine the most. These exclusive titles and timed exclusives of late are huge crowd pullers and console sellers, to the point that many gamers buy a console only to play 1 or 2 exclusive titles. Yes, if you do that, please stop doing that. If you stop doing that, they'll stop making console exclusives, guaranteed. In the PlayStation camp, studios like Naughty Dog, Insomniac, Santa Monica Studios, Guerrilla Games, and more have put out landmark titles like the Uncharted series, Last of Us series, God of War, and the Horizon series, to name a few. These games have been universally acclaimed as some of the defining games of their generations. It also helps that PlayStation owns many of these studios, and every single game that you listed there is a cinematic third-person action game. Every single one of them. Plus, all of those are on PC, so it's a mystery why you brought them up. But I find it hysterical how articles like this always completely miss the point that many PC gamers like to point out when it comes to exclusives and variety. Because what if you don't like cinematic third-person action games? What if those just aren't really your jam? Then why would you care about any of these exclusives? Spoiler alert, you wouldn't. And when it comes to variety, what's the RTS scene like on consoles? What's the MOBA scene like? What's the Sim scene like? What's the indie scene like? You know, like, the PC has access to almost every game ever released on every console, and if it doesn't have access to it now, it will in the future, either through an official port or through emulation. But what your cinematic third-person action exclusives tend to distract you from is the fact that the PC has infinitely more variety in the games offered to you, and if the trade-off for that variety is that we sometimes have to wait an extra year or so to play the latest cinematic third-person action game, most of us really don't mind, because we have way more stuff to play in the meantime. And when your precious exclusives do make their way to the PC, they'll have way better performance options. The Microsoft arsenal might feel a little barren in comparison, but then again, the Xbox strategy has shifted to offering a convenient and value-for-money experience to gamers across their consoles and PCs alike. Nevertheless, its recent acquisitions of Bethesda and Activision Blizzard are set to augment its exclusives library, and it's already feeling the results with Starfield. PC exclusives like World of Warcraft and RTS titles like Company of Heroes 3, weird choice of 2 PC exclusives, do enjoy a massive fan base, but they still appeal to mostly niche audiences, and honestly, the kind of quality and polish seen in console exclusive games is unheard of in PC exclusives. Not to mention, there are simply more exclusives on consoles than PCs. Holy fuck, okay. There are not more console exclusives than PC exclusives. That is patently untrue. Like, just on its face, that is literally flat out not true. But also, did you just imply that PC exclusives aren't as good as console exclusives because they appeal to more niche audiences? My guy, that's the whole problem with your entire mindset. PC exclusives can afford to appeal to more niche audiences, which partially contributes to there being more of them, but also means they can take more risks and be good in ways that console exclusives simply never will be. Open Google, one time, fucking one time. Number 5, performance lifestyle cost of upgrades. Due to the nature of console manufacturing and the tight integration they have with game development, consoles don't really need to be upgraded during their life cycle. That's right, it's not that you don't have options, it's that you don't need them. That's why you don't see anything more than upgradable storage on a PS5 or Xbox Series. During a 5 to 7 year console generation, any game you play on it is supposed to run as advertised without any performance dips. This is in stark contrast to a gaming PC, where upgrades are all but necessary. Not even remotely fucking true. You get what you pay for. But you can also pay for years worth of solid performance. You can get an older card for less money if you're targeting 1080p 60, or you can get a less older card if you're targeting higher than that, or like if you're targeting 1080p 60 with ultra graphics, and you like it just goes up. It goes up like that from there, you know? If you're getting the performance you want out of your PC and you don't feel the need to go higher than that, you just don't. Like, that's it. I play at 1440p. I have no desire to go above that. I have no desire to play higher than 144 hertz. And that said, I haven't upgraded my build in a long time. The last I upgraded my PC was when I bought a used 3070, and that was like a year and a half ago, like 2 years ago, maybe close to that. And that upgrade was actually just out of getting a good deal from a friend on it. I was perfectly happy with my 2070 up to that point. Granted, I was playing at 1080p at that point, and the move to a 3070 let me move to 1440p. But like, you see the point I'm getting at here though? That you say upgrades are all but necessary on the PC, and I'm telling you from experience, and every PC gamer will tell you from experience that this isn't true. Just because new generations of GPU come out, that doesn't devalue the ones that came before it. Now, eventually, does there come a point where you should upgrade your build? Yeah, if you got like a 1050 or something even older or lower power than a 1050, yeah, you might want to start thinking about upgrading that. But there's nothing true about this idea of like, oh, new hardware came out, gotta go buy it. Fucking no, you don't. Who told you you did? They're dumb if they told you you did. To maintain the superior performance that a gaming PC enjoys over a console, it needs at least 1 or 2 future upgrades. Notice how they don't put a time frame on future upgrades, because if you did, you'd have to completely snap your argument in half like a fucking Kit Kat. With the rapid obsolescence seen in gaming PC hardware in recent years, oh my god, shut the fuck up, you have no clue what you're fucking talking about. You simply can't hope to run the latest games at the highest settings for years on end without major upgrades to your graphics card or processor. And if you take the opposite approach of foregoing upgrades in favor of continuously lowering your settings, then a console might have been a better choice for you to begin with. Oh my god, what if you don't want superior performance? What if you don't want it? You just said all of this is because you want to maintain superior performance, but like, what if you don't? I mean, I'd love it if we stopped acting like every PC gamer in the world is shooting for maximum humanly possible graphics and frame rate at all times. I'd fucking love it if we stopped doing that. It's almost like graphics and frame rate aren't the only benefits of this platform. If you do choose to buy a new graphics card, be prepared to spend a small fortune compared to the cost of getting a new gaming console. The category formerly known as mid-range doesn't exist anymore. Even buying a new CPU is not a cheap or simple affair, as you need to deliberate whether to jump to the AM5 platform or not, or in the case of Intel, choose between DDR4 and DDR5 setups. These upgrades will likely double or even triple the cost of your gaming PC over its lifetime. Alternatively, buying into 2 successive console generations will only cost you $1,000. So the ability to upgrade a gaming PC has its own financial and technical drawbacks, whereas a console can last you many years without any upgrades. Bro, are you seriously trying to tell me mid-range PCs don't exist? Like, is that where we're at now? Because I'm gonna fucking throw up in your mailbox. Like, why are we now acting like mid-range doesn't exist? Why are we acting like this, you know? Like PCs cost more than a console, yeah, for sure. But it's not like the benefits of the PC don't make up for that immediately. You get what you pay for, you know? You pay more for a PC than a console, but you're also getting a better product. And that return on investment doesn't just come with hitting the fucking highest benchmarks humanly possible all the time. Point number 6, uninterrupted experience. Just turn your notifications off. What are you talking about? For those of us working from home, our gaming PC is likely to double up as our work device. Working during the day and playing in the evenings might already be a part of your lifestyle, but I can't deal with the constant anxiety of getting a work notification or the boredom of sitting in the same room while gaming. Gaming on a console is the perfect break from the rigors of the day when I can stay away from the PC and get completely immersed in my gaming session. Bro, literally just turn the notifications off or appear offline. Genuinely, truly, honestly, this is a you problem. Consoles, as I've mentioned previously, are devices that are excellent at a single thing. The hardware and software work in perfect sync to achieve a seamless and clutter-free gaming experience that's hard to get on your gaming PC, where you're always at the risk of getting disturbed by an email or a message. This is a major reason why people are buying a gaming console even after having a decently capable PC at their disposal. But what if my phone rings? What if my dog barks? What if my cat shits herself? Like, I can get distracted by completely unrelated things on the console as well. I would never blame it on the console. What is this? 7th point, plug and play convenience. Fucking stop. Just stop. In the end, one of the biggest reasons to buy a console over a PC is the convenience. With the degree of information overload and the abundance of entertainment channels at our disposal, a console seems like the simplest solution. It's relatively affordable, easy to use, and simple to set up. Compare this to a gaming PC, where it seems that the more costly and complex your hardware is, the more you need to know. Simplicity and plug and play are 2 different things. Starting up a console and starting up a PC are essentially the same process. You plug the thing in, you do some initial updates and setup things, you install some games, and you get started. The only difference is that on the PC you have to install launchers before installing games, but that's really it. Consoles have a simpler interface, sure, but if we're talking about actual brain power needed to do things and like the actual process of setup before you can play a game, it's basically the same. If you think one of them is plug and play, like you really insist on calling the consoles plug and play, then great, a modern gaming PC is also plug and play. If you could still just throw a disc in your Xbox and start it up right away, then you would have the plug and play high ground, but that hasn't been a thing for like 10 years, so maybe let's find a new argument. PC gamers will be all too familiar with relentless troubleshooting, optimizing graphics settings, concerns about FPS and temperature, and a myriad of other factors unrelated to the actual gaming experience. Console gamers don't need to trouble themselves about how many frames they're getting or how hot their console is running, at least these days. They might be limited to 30 FPS or 60 FPS gaming, but it's a no-nonsense and thoroughly enjoyable experience they're opting for. Bro, just tell us you've never played on PC. Because graphic settings take like 10 seconds to optimize to your liking, and if you want to make a change to something, oh no, it's another 10 seconds in the graphics menu, all to serve the gaming experience being completely better. If you really want to be petty here, and I feel like being petty here, I could just turn this whole thing around and say you prefer a simpler experience than a better experience, because the better experience makes your brain hurt. Because that's really how this reads. One of your points against the PC and for the console is the simple fact that you don't have to think as hard to make the experience better in every game. And you're just cool with that. 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds to make the experience better. That is such an inconvenience to you that it's a point against the PC as a platform. Are you fucking kidding me? Combine this with the simplicity of using a controller, arguably more intuitive for the majority of new gamers, and this smaller footprint of a console compared to a PC, and you begin to get the picture. The ability to unwind on your couch with your console after a long day is one that's valuable to many gamers today. So use a controller on PC. Use big picture mode, or if you really want to treat your PC as a console, you could install one of the like million different programs that allow you to use a controller like a mouse. But I don't expect you to know about any of this. You've established by now how little you care about actually being factually right about things. The conclusion, making the switch, console for life. There are many things a console does far better than PC. Conversely, a gaming PC is superior to a console in areas like performance, customization, upgradability, and multitasking. But all these benefits on a PC come with an associated price premium, which is getting harder and harder to digest. If you find the fixed hardware and relatively limited performance of a gaming console to be deal breakers, a console isn't for you. Because fixed hardware and limited performance are the only reasons PC gamers don't want to buy a console. Those are the only reasons, fixed hardware and limited performance. I seriously wonder why I fucking bother with articles like this sometimes. However, if you're looking for a dedicated gaming device that's far cheaper, convenient, offers better exclusives, and provides a more stable gaming experience, you can blindly opt for a gaming console. Personally, I own both a high-end gaming PC and a console, and I would have chosen my PC in my younger years when I had more time on my hands, but now that I struggle to find free time to play games, I find myself gravitating toward my console more and more. How much you want to bet that this person's high-end gaming PC is actually like a Chromebook? Or like you're one of those people with a $4,000 PC and only use it for like Minecraft or Fortnite. Like I'm just not seeing this one. So is this the worst console versus PC article of the year? Honestly, it's hard to tell. It started out somewhat fair, but this one went downhill so fast. I do my best to be as unbiased as possible on this channel, and obviously I'm not always going to be successful because I'm a PC gamer, and I've been a PC gamer for like 6-7 years now, and the whole reason I switched was because I was fed up with playing on the console for all of the reasons I lay out in all of my response videos. But I want the console market to improve because then everyone improves, everyone benefits, and when every gaming market is in a good consumer-friendly place, that makes it a lot easier for companies to truly innovate and give us better products. But the console market, especially in the current day, it just inherently encourages the opposite of that, or at the very least it slows down what innovation we could be getting. And I love this hobby, I love this art form, so it annoys the shit out of me. Ultimately, you can do whatever you want with your money. It's your money. But you should be informed of what your purchases encourage in the market, and what alternative purchases you could make that I really believe would push the industry in a better direction. So, take all this information how you will, and remember, games journalism is dumb. But if it's dumb games journalism that brings us together in these trying times, then God bless it. Toodles.